How's it going, everybody? You're watching Then About Tech, and today I'm gonna answer a very important question that I'm sure you've been asking yourself ever since Apple unveiled the all-new iPhone 13 and 13 Pro. And that is, should you buy the new iPhone 13 and 13 Pro? Well, it's not a very easy answer because there's no one answer for that question. It could actually be an amazing deal and you should buy an iPhone 13 depending on the scenario, but it also may be a terrible deal and you're just wasting money, and I'm gonna explain you why right now. So, first things first, the iPhone 13 is not all that different from the iPhone 12. And of course, when I'm saying iPhone 13, I'm talking about the whole lineup. So the 13 mini, 13, 13 Pro, and 13 Pro Max. When we compare them to the 12, 12 mini, 12 Pro, and 12 Pro Max, we see that they are very, very similar. Not only in design, and I'm going to start talking about the design because as you may already have seen, it's very, very similar. It's actually very difficult to tell them apart. Of course, the 13 has a slightly different design on the camera. Instead of being vertical, it's diagonal, so it's a little bit different. But apart from that, we just get that difference, and of course, the notch. So the notch is a little bit smaller, but if you're seeing one of those devices at a distance, it's kind of hard to tell them apart. And of course, we have the different colors, but again, not all colors are new for the iPhone 13. Apple ditched two colors from the iPhone 12, so we don't have purple and we don't have green anymore. And now we have a new color, which is pink. And for the Pro models, we just have a slightly different tone of blue, which is now called Sierra Blue, and a slightly different tone in graphite as well. But the silver and gold are still the same. So again, when you're talking about design, very, very similar. Of course, we have to talk about the display as well. All the displays in the iPhone 13 lineup are brighter than if we compare to the 12 lineup. They're around 20% brighter, so that's very interesting. And the Pro models have a higher refresh rate, so they have 120 hertz refresh rate, which is called ProMotion. Just like the iPad Pro, they all have this feature for around 3 years, I'd say, and all the competition have this feature as well. And it's not a huge deal. I mean, most people won't really tell the difference, only if you're really a pro user. In the battery department, it got a little bit better as well. So the batteries all got a little bit bigger compared to the iPhone 12. And because of the processor, they're more efficient, so you should get 1.5 to 2.5 more hours of battery life on those devices compared to the previous generation. So that's interesting. And if you're talking about the processor itself, I would say it's the least impressive improvement we've ever seen for a while. We always get a huge improvement in the processing department. So from the A13 to the A14, it was a big deal. And it's always been like that. So the processing power on the Apple chips on the iPhone were always a huge deal. Apple would dedicate a ton of time on the keynote talking about the processor because it was always a huge improvement year after year. Now the A15 isn't a huge improvement. And we can definitely tell that because in the keynote, Apple was pretty much only comparing the A15 with the competition. So they were not comparing to the A14, especially because there wasn't a huge improvement, so always to the competition. The only information they gave us is that it has now a 6-core CPU and a 4-core GPU for the 13 and 5-core GPU for the iPhone 13 Pro. So slight improvements, but not a huge deal. It should perform very, very similarly. When we're talking about RAM, we do get a RAM bump, which is very, very welcome and very, very interesting. So now instead of 4 gigs for the baseline iPhone 12, we're getting 6 gigs of RAM on the 13. And instead of 6 gigs for the 12 Pro, we're now getting 8 gigs on the 13 Pro, which is much welcome. And last but not least, of course, we have to talk about the camera, which again wasn't a huge upgrade, wasn't a huge improvement. The design, the layout of the cameras are still the same, so we still get 2 cameras for the iPhone 13 and 13 mini and 3 cameras for the 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max. They of course have improvements compared to the iPhone 12. So the main sensors, the main cameras on all iPhone 13s are now bigger. The sensors are bigger. We have more light coming in, so we have better performance in low light scenarios. Same thing with the ultra wide, which weren't that good on the 12 series. Now we're getting better performance on the ultra wide as well. And the telephoto for the Pro series, of course, instead of having only 2.5 times optical zoom, now they have 3 times optical zoom, so just 0.5 times, not a huge improvement. And for the Pro series, all 3 cameras have night mode now. So if you've seen night mode in action, you know it's a very welcome feature. Now, the important question here, should you actually upgrade? Should you buy the new iPhone 13? Any of the lineup? Of course, you have preferences. Maybe you want the mini, maybe you want the Pro, but I'm gonna be very general here with my answer when I'm talking about upgrading to the iPhone 13 as a whole. And in most cases, I wouldn't recommend upgrading. So let's say you're satisfied with your iPhone. You're happy with your iPhone is new. Maybe it's not even new, but you're happy with it. You don't feel like upgrading for just no reason. The iPhone 13 isn't a big reason to upgrade. If you're happy with your iPhone, if you're satisfied with it, don't upgrade. Don't buy the iPhone 13 just for the sake of upgrading, right? That's very important. Also, if you already own a iPhone 12 series, any of the iPhone 12 series, and also the iPhone 11 Pro, which I think it's relatively similar as well, I also wouldn't recommend. So again, if you're happy, if you have one of those newer devices, I wouldn't recommend upgrading just because you won't feel a big change. But if you do want to upgrade, if you do want to get the newest device, maybe because you have the money in your pocket and you feel like doing it, maybe because you have an older iPhone and you really feel like upgrading, I do think that you should get the 13. So if you're thinking about getting a new iPhone, if you're coming from an iPhone 10, 10R, 10S, maybe an iPhone 11, not the 11 Pro, and you feel like getting a new one, I think the 13 is the iPhone to go. Because of course, it'll give you all of the best features, all of the best that iPhone can give you right now for a competitive price. Please keep in mind that there was no price bump in the iPhone 13. They didn't get more expensive. It's the exact same value. So the iPhone 13 mini starts at $699, the 13 at $799, the 13 Pro at $999, and the 13 Pro Max at $1,100. So for that price, you should indeed get any of those. Of course, there's your personal preference. So that's the scenario that I think you should upgrade. So get the iPhone 13. If you feel like upgrading, do it. Don't get the 12, don't get the 11, get the 13. But if you don't need to, don't upgrade. Don't get an iPhone 13 just for the sake of it. That's my recommendation here, right? So that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed this video. That's what I wanted to give you. All of my thoughts on this new generation of iPhones and my opinion, my very honest opinion, if you should or shouldn't upgrade. So pick your scenario, see where you're at, and make your decision, all right? So that's pretty much it. Don't forget to leave the like button down below, to hit right here. It's very important. It helps us out so much to grow this channel and reach much more people. Also, please don't forget to click on the subscribe button and then tap on the bell icon to get notified whenever I post a new video. And also, last but not least, leave your comment down below in the comment box. I always love to hear your feedback, all right? So that's pretty much it, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.